So we're back. We kind of separate this into a couple different sessions because you got two computers where you recorded most of the stuff. So another track that you actually have on this laptop is Part of My Ego.
Part of My Ego, yep.
A few people kind of like wrote about, they wanted to know where you got your sample from this. And they also, I forget the exact question, but it was pretty much, how do you make your unique hi-hats?
Okay.
For this one, and they also brought up a Young Sinatra 4.
The hats and stuff.
Yeah, the hats. So maybe you can walk us through,
Absolutely.
through that.
Yeah, so the song starts off with the drum break that I programmed. Yeah, so the hats, let's see. This is just like from a vinyl like song that I found. I forget which song, but that's the hi-hat, right? I mean, I guess that the hat is just super crisp on its own, like, you know what I mean? That's just the sound of it, like we discussed it on the last song. It's like, really, when you're making hats and drums, like, really make sure that it sounds right, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do too much to it on top. You just gotta make sure that the ones you pick are super, super tight, so.
And this one has the analog feel to it.
And has the analog, so a lot of this, like, most of this beat, I probably chopped up from records, you know what I mean? I don't know which records, because I'll just go through them and just take a snare. I'll just take a hat. But yeah, this was just a hat.
Do you have a day where you're like, yo, I'm gonna go find some hi-hats, and you're just like listening for that in particular? Or it's just like, as you're hearing different things, you're like, yo, that hi-hat's unique, I'm gonna sample that? Or like?
I'm always getting new drums, whether it be like finding drum breaks. I'll just dig to find rare drum breaks just to find hats, you know what I mean? Like, so I have a crazy memory where I know which drum breaks have certain hats that I need. So this is probably one that I just knew that this hat would sound dope.
The amount of digging that you do, you must have a crazy amount of like hi-hats and like different like elements. How do you remember like, oh, I had this feeling 3 months ago when I heard this one unique hi-hat?
If it stands out, if the sound is that good, it'll stand out to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Just above the rest, you're
it's just
like,
above the rest. Yeah, like there's certain hi-hats, certain kicks, certain snares, certain open hi-hats that just are my go-tos because I know they're just that good, you know? So this is just one of the hats I have that just sounded tight. So once I put it on grid, I had to time stretch it quicker. So it was like, but I want it to be like, so you time stretch it to one beat and it turns into that. And then, you know, I got to put my favorite claps on top of that. And this is just another go-to loop, you know what I mean? That it just stands out. With the hats.
Sounds like some Nina Simone shit.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is. That's the one I use on the return, so it's funny that the person that asked about it. It was like, how do you get your hats on the return? And this is actually the same clap. So like they have a good ear too. That's what I'm saying. It's my go-to stuff. Like if I know that I'm making beats, I'm just like, if I'm in a session, I just want to like, you know, go quick, you know, just go-to stuff. So it's like, oh, hi-hats like that. I need another rhythm behind it. That's dope. The clap. It's like, oh, it just adds that cool texture. So that's together, and then with the kick. And this is actually, I remember Kids See Ghosts came out. And one of the songs inspired me to make this. I think it was like Fourth Dimension after the drums on that. It was like really dope. So the drums are kind of an ode to that, a little faster, but yeah. And this snare is pretty cool. There's nothing on it, just normal snare. I actually have this whole folder of that I probably use this from, called Filthy Drums. And
properly titled.
And these are all like, just, you know, this is like one folder I have, just like hats, you know what I mean? And then, you know, you got my snares and shit like that, but this is like all my raw shit, you know what I mean? So this is probably just one of them. And then the scratching, and that's just, I chopped up a scratch into my fruity slicer like I did on Bobby. And you can see like how I chopped it up too, so I'll play this pattern. So. Yep, just like that. And people are like, yo, are you DJing? I'm like, nah, man.
I said that when I heard that. I was like, yo, did you scratch on this record?
Like kinda, I guess. But yeah, I just sampled the scratch and just chopped it up on time. So I don't know why I added it. It just felt cool. Yeah, those are pretty much the drums, and then with the 808 on it. But I did the 808 after the sample. The sample is my boy Q-Beats from Germany. Actually, two dudes, and we've talked about it before. Like Everybody Dies.
Yep.
A couple other songs, but yeah, those are the homies. And I chopped up. I wish I had the whole sample. Maybe I do somewhere, but it's okay. And then this other chop right here. And then just put those, I don't know why those two together sounded good, but I was just going through it and just wanted to make a loop. Oh yeah, this is another chop from the sample. And so this is obviously slower than the beat, so I just put it on grid and then you time stretch it to the beat. So 1 bar, I time stretch it to 1 bar, so it time stretches perfectly on time. So 3 different chops from like the sample that I just put together. And that's when I added the 808 because I had the sample and stuff already there. So
is that just a lot of like trial and error? Like how did you know to put the right after the vocal sample? Like,
it just sounded tight. Yeah, trial and error. Just like I was going through it and just picking out parts of the sample that I liked. I normally don't do that where I just like go through a whole song and just pick out pieces of it. I think Alchemist does that a lot. Like a lot of producers do it, but for me, I like to just find like a loop that I like and then work from that. But this one was actually different. Just going through the whole song and picking stuff from different sections and putting them together. I don't know why I did that. I just did it that day. Maybe like we were talking about like cleansing the palate, you know, trying to do something different. Yeah. So maybe that's just another reason I did that, just subconsciously.
Yeah, it's crazy because it works, but I would have never thought of putting those two things together.
Yep. By itself, it kind of sounds just like super random, but then the drums obviously give it that rhythm, and then the 808.
Got some 808s in there.
Yep, got some 808s in there. Very simple.
Gives a little Kanye feel.
Exactly. Yep. The distorted 808s definitely. Get the bread. That's my favorite part of it. Like that was just something like Logic chopped up when he had the stems and shit. I'm trying to figure out. I had this like cash register sound too that we just flew into Pro Tools. Oh yeah, it was the money machine. So like that's something that I just chopped up with BC on Pro Tools, and just little stuff like that added character to the beat. But for the most part, what I had was just this.
How do you come up with the drums? Are you just playing it out? Like,
man, I'm just dragging and dropping. Cause I had the pattern in my head of what I wanted it to be, and I've used FL so much, like I know exactly like which part of the beat is the grid. So I just drag it and drop it. So I'll just do something like that. You know what I mean? And then you just place it. So with the snare, it's the same thing. I just drag it onto the grid. And then I know where I want my next snare, so it'll just be right there. You just drag and drop.
Drag and drop.
Trial and error until it sounds good. Sometimes I'll do it manually, you know, like. But then when I place it on the grid, for some reason, it sounds so much better. Like, it's louder, it's more crisp. I think when I play it through there, it like adds a natural compression on it for some reason. So when I place it straight on the grid, it's just like the full level of it, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that's why I like to just drop it like that, even with the kicks and shit. You know, this is one of my favorite kicks. I use it a lot on a lot of records because it's just so nice and punchy and warm. So yeah, just a lot of go-to stuff. From preparation, I wanted to say it again, like preparation, like 80% of it is what people don't see. You know what I mean? What people don't see is where the real work happens, at least for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're saying you're only 10% of your beats are making it on projects, then that means 90% of the time that you're cooking, like it's prepping all the other stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, and just the more you make beats, the more you know which kicks and snares to use. So like to answer the questions of like, how do you get your drums to pop and shit? It's like years and years of trial and error on finding the right ones and remembering where the good drums are in your program and efficiency and all that, man. It's crazy.
The last track you got on this laptop is Commando.
Commando.